We have ourselves a regularly scheduled Water Pollution Control Authority February meeting. There was a posted agenda. Any modified proposed changes to said agenda? Hearing none. Item number 2 on the agenda, approval of the January meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving right along to old business. Item number 1, to hear, consider, and act on a sewer connection request, 730 and 770 Commerce Drive. We previously heard this at the September, December, and January meetings with decision tabled pending the towns and WPCA Commission's position regarding encumbrance of the WPCA easement.
And I do not believe, I don't know, is there anybody here from representing the applicant online? I don't believe so, so I will give an update.
Okay.
So after last month's regular meeting, the applicant did submit plans depicting the proposed revised easements and the bypass plan. Wright Pierce did review that information for technical adequacy. The memo was provided as backup to tonight's agenda. The utility, myself, did review that technical memorandum. I made recommendations. I provided those recommendations to our chairman before I provided to town general counsel. General counsel does have that full package, is actively reviewing that package and working with the applicant's attorney on developing a modified easement. And so I did receive an update from our attorney this afternoon saying they're very close to being able to share that draft modified easement with us for our review. It'll probably be either by Friday, it sounds like by Friday this week. That will be received by the town.
So what are our options right now then? I mean,
So I think the action would be to defer this until we receive the modified easement that we could review and deliberate on.
okay. That sounds good. Chris?
So I think we gotta have a motion on it, right? Do we have
To-
your consider an act?
To consider, to table it.
Yeah, I would put a motion out to table the 730 and 770 Commerce Drive until we get the documents from the applicant and the town attorney.
Seconded.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right. I guess if time is of the essence on their part, we could theoretically have a special meeting between this meeting and March.
Probably.
Okay. Sounds good. Moving on to item number 2 of old business, to hear, consider, and act on a request to extend an approval of a sewer connection request, 980 High Street. This was previously heard, considered, and approved back in October of 2019. Flow metering and capacity analysis are being updated by the applicant to confirm the proposed connection continues to meet the WPCA's capacity threshold. Applicant has paid an initial installment of the I&I fee equal to the 2019 I&I fee of $103,000.
I believe representatives of the applicant are here this evening to present on their request to extend that 2019 approval, as well as a request to modify the commission's 2019 decision on the assessment for the I&I fee.
Thank you. Where would you like us, so I don't want to put my back to.
Right up at the podium.
Is the podium? Yeah, sure, thank you. I don't know if it picked up on the camera there. Thank you, Commissioners. My name's Brian LeClaire. I'm an attorney with Bertram Moses. I represent the Fairfield Housing Corporation. I'm here with Carol Martin, the Executive Director, and Emily Jones, an engineer with Civil One Engineering. So to go back a little bit, let me tell you what Fairfield Housing Corporation is. It's the developer of 980 High Street. Fairfield Housing Corporation is a private 501c3 tax-exempt corporation, and it's an LLC, and it has one member or one owner. The owner of Fairfield Housing Corporation is the Fairfield Housing Authority. As you may or may not know, the Fairfield Housing Authority, pursuant to state statute, is the town of Fairfield's housing authority created by the Board of Selectmen, and under state statute is our housing authority for the town of Fairfield. So this is a development for affordable housing that we introduced a number of years ago. We had all the approvals, including the WPCA. We then had an appeal that came up. One of the bodies, an appeal was taken by one of the commissions. We successfully defended that appeal. So all approvals are in place. Shovels are ready to hit the ground and begin construction. We had, and Emily will talk in a moment about the capacity analysis that was done for the 2019 approval before we had the appeal taken. And we were well below the capacity of any of the pipes at that time. And she'll talk about, if you look at development that has happened since 2019, which would contribute to the watershed, it's negligible, if any, at this point. Our project has not changed. The same flow is coming in from our project as we projected. And the pipes in the area, the flows have not changed at all, since there's been no big development going in on any of them. So we're going to ask in a moment, your approval of this and an extension of the approval. Then I'm going to talk about the fee in a moment, too, and why that's relevant. But I think, Emily, maybe if you want to come up and educate, talk to the commissioners who weren't here where we were a few years back. Thank you.
Just a few. For the record, my name is Emily Jones, professional engineer with Civil One in Woodbury. Here representing the applicant. We were the design engineers from the beginning of this project, so we did the initial capacity analysis and worked with this commission and staff to get the approval in 2019. So when we went back to review and extend the approval, we knew that we would be looking at making sure that everything was still up to code and within capacity of the plant. So since 2019, actually, let me just review how we did this in 2019. So basically, the commission back then had asked us to take a look at the existing flows through your sanitary sewer system at two locations. One was sort of immediately downstream of the property at 980 High Street, and then further down on Holland Hill Road after it intersects with Lovers Lane, quite a bit down the street, was the second location for metering, just to make sure that as our sewer shed comes into the system, that the capacity remains the same for a few segments, down the line. So on the site itself, we have 6 3-bedroom units, 16 2-bedroom units, and 18 1-bedroom units. Back in 2019, there was one way to calculate the flow from the site from the I&I policy, and since that time, it has been updated. Back then, I think we combined the 2 and 3 bedrooms with a certain number, and now they've been separated out, so it's a little bit clearer in the design and for what the WPCA is asking us to do. So that's one part of the equation, right, is what flow is coming off of our site and how that contributes to the overall sewer shed. So I have updated the flow numbers from the property based on the new information from WPCA as to what they expect for 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units coming off. So there was a slight increase in average daily flow. I think it used to be about 6,300 gallons per day, and now it's 7,100 gallons per day in the last 6 years. That's I know that you guys know this, but it's a pretty conservative number, right? They use the expected gallons per day from the building, and then there's also sort of this infiltration of aging infrastructure safety factor that's added on top of it. In addition to that, we added a pretty robust safety factor or peaking factor of 4.2 when we calculated the peak demand. So we are looking at overall capacity, and then we're also looking at peak demand capacity for the site. So essentially, even given the small increase from the site based on the way that Fairfield now calculates their flows coming from these bedrooms, it accounts for about 2% of the capacity of the system in and around this property. When we looked at the analysis, Basically, right now, I've updated the analysis to include the new calculation for on-site, and we're still including the existing 2019 readings for off-site, because we are still in the process of obtaining new readings. But even with that information, where they add about like a 1/4 inch of depth in the pipe. So it's really, really small in comparison to the sewer shed. It's a negligible to minimal impact. My experience with this for in the 20 or so years I've been designing sewer connections is that when you don't have a huge sewer shed, and we haven't had a lot of development in the area, no significant development that I could really pinpoint as to being a cause of increased flows, then the only thing we're going to see possibly in the metering results is potentially some additional minor infiltration. But even with that, you're below, our estimate is that you'll be below the 85% threshold by 5 or 6%. And I did submit an interim report to Michelle earlier today stating that. So from our engineering perspective, I'm even comfortable using the 2019 data just because of what I know of going on around the site and just the history of everything. However, I know the applicant is willing to do whatever the town has asked them to do, and so we have retained the same company that went out and did the monitoring in 2019 to do monitoring again at the same 2 locations. So EST Associates is going to do that. We signed the contract on February 5th. Everybody knows we're all busy. So engineers, surveyors, everybody, all busy. So those monitors are going in the ground on Friday. So we wrote this report comfortable enough to say that our conclusion is that, this development still has negligible impact on the capacity, and you still have enough capacity to approve it, which is what we would love to see tonight. We are also totally willing, and it's already underway, to get staff an updated report, including that, those updated readings and making sure everything is up to date. And I don't expect it'll change the calculations all that much, but certainly willing to, if you are inclined to approve it conditionally tonight, we are still under contract. We're still going forward with that metering. We have them contracted for 4 weeks. So happy to submit those readings for staff review and approval on that also. So that is it.
And if anyone had any questions of Emily,
One question was, you used the term 85%
Yeah.
versus 80%. Our threshold is 80, right? So is there any confusion on that, or are we clear on 80, 85?
We have not approved in my tenure anything over.
Anything over 80. So, yeah, it's not 85, it's 80.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had discussed 85. Yeah.
so
Yeah, we are still under it.
we're still going to be under that, yeah.
Just to build on that question, what was the flow rate when you measured it as a percentage of capacity in 2019?
So I do have that information. The existing flow, we measured it at 3 different points. So the existing flow rate, I've got these all out of order now. The peak flow was like 1.41 CFS, which is about 633 gallons per minute. That was measured an hour after a storm event. And then the proposed additional flow from this development was 20.75 gallons per minute. So it's, it's just a very minor increase.
Understood, but do you have the percentage of capacity that was?
Yes, in that location, it's actually 79%.
That was 6 years ago. I would need to see up-to-date flow I can't. Personally, I mean, obviously I'm one member, but I would not feel comfortable.
You're right on the margin, yeah. So you have the flow meters set up to go in over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't decrease in the last few
Right.
years, right? So
Exactly.
you run the risk of being over 80. Probably a small risk, but it's a risk, right? So if we were to do a conditional approval and then you're over 80 in the next, on the next set of reports after 4 weeks, then we'd be back to.
Well, there's a discussion about that, right?
Right.
It sounds like it could be over 80 even without the additional.
Why are you seeking a conditional approval as opposed to just waiting for this flow data?
Because of the nature of the project, the construction and the financing that's been approved by it, because this is, it's interesting how this is funded because of the housing authority's involvement on this project. It's using low-income housing tax credits, which is LIHTC credits used for the project. And that's the primary, as you may know, federal incentive for affordable housing in the United States, how you fund these projects. The rest of the money has come through public monies from the state of Connecticut and, in fact, from the town of Fairfield. So we have public money and financing on the line, and we have to proceed given certain dates under the low-income housing tax credits to get the project constructed. We can't just let it linger once we got the credits and get moving. And that's why, put us under a tight timeline to get this working, because it's kind of a unique project given it's the housing authority. It's not a private developer. And given the extreme number of units we have, for affordable housing, the vast majority of them are, we have windows of when we have to get this done. So that's the reason why. And that's why we were going to ask for an abatement of the fee because of the public money. It was $103,000 in 2019. Your fee has changed. It would now be $226,000 and change, which is a big issue while the appeal was pending, especially because this is our own money. It's your money and my money, taxpayer money, that's paying for this, that's going to come out of one pocket, go into another pocket here, including the town of Fairfield, paying a significant amount of money towards this as well. So that becomes the issue we have with it.
I also just want to note that that 79% is in one sort of short section of the pipe. Obviously, right, we took the section of pipe that was at the lowest pitch along the whole stretch. It's a short section of 10-inch pipe at like 0.6%. The 8-inch pipe on High Street down gradient of this property is at 23.7% of capacity with the future peak flow included. And then the second location, which is actually an 8-inch pipe before it transitions to this 10-inch pipe, is at like 73.3%. So that 79% where it is sort of close to the threshold is just a short stretch. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but it is just sort of that little one isolated area. And keeping in mind that we had a fairly significant peaking factor, of over 4.
So your flow data is, you got the spots per the, for our department?
Yes.
Where to put the flow meters?
Yes.
There. And I think personally, I would, this technically, yeah, it was approved, but it was approved back in 2019. I don't think you got any extensions on your approval there. So technically, this is
Expired under your
This is a
regulation.
this is a new application, and any really new application, we'd have to see new flow data for, especially since it was seven years ago. I wouldn't feel comfortable without flow data or without doing a conditional approval on something, because you don't know, since you're so close, you don't know where we're gonna get into. And I hate to be all of a sudden coming back and re-looking at things. I'd like to look at it all at once.
I don't understand the applicant has paid an initial installment of the I&I fee. So did you guys pull a permit then back in 2019?
No. We paid this recently.
Oh,
This
So
is not,
the
this,
motion, if you look at the backup for this meeting, we included
I
the
only saw the one
minutes.
letter.
Um,
I don't know if I just got it wrong or what, but
There should be included in the backup, let me check it again, the agenda from the 2019 meeting where this was initially approved. And the motion reads that the I&I abatement fee will be paid upon the approval of building permits. So building permits for 2 foundations were approved. That triggered the INI abatement fee
Okay.
to be paid. So it was an unusual motion.
Yeah,
It's
that
not
is
a
weird.
motion we would make today.
Right.
And that's the reason for the 103 being paid at this time.
Okay.
It seems like we're a little back here because who gave them a building permit without a sewer connection permit?
So we didn't give a approval to build on the site, but we gave them approval to modify existing structures on the site. This was through a meeting with the utility and the Economic Development Office and this applicant. So we are not moving forward with approval of permits to actually build structures on the site at this time because this board has not approved a connection.
But it's a little awkward now is that
Yeah, that,
there's $103,000.
your 103,000.
So we
No,
have.
I know, it's
We're
just,
in
it's
receipt-
just a
we're in
little,
receipt of it. I agree,
yeah.
it's awkward, and I'm just looking at the,
and I'm just trying to think, like, it's kind of probably a little,
it's not what we would do today,
Yeah.
making a motion
And-
for an approval. It is unusual.
but technically, like, the way I look at it is that there is no sewer connection. There is no, since it lapsed, this is 6 years down, there should be no
There should be no
calculated INI fee.
fees.
There's no calculation or anything.
Right.
So it's like, kind of on my point is that this is a new applicant,
Yeah.
application. I don't know what the INI fees are gonna be. If we wanna negotiate it with the, if we wanna, do something with this affordable housing, with the town, yeah, I think, that's something to discuss, but I don't know what the INI fee is because we don't really know what the flows are gonna be with everything, since it's not approved. And it's just kind of a little awkward where now we have 103,000 where.
We know what the flow is, and we can calculate using our policy. So we know what the flow is. It's the 226 and change. But again,
But,
I agree with you that it's a,
but there might be some changes because if it's at 79, because it would be interesting to see what the flow
Yeah.
flow data comes back with.
so and then also recalling that the flow is based on number of bedrooms. And so that's the calculation, how the calculation is based. I do agree with you that this is actually not a request to extend an approval because the approval did expire. So that's a modification to this item on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, there's two separate things here. One would be at best, a conditional approval. And then there's some sort of working with them on the fee. That piece, I don't know. I mean, I'm all ears for where we've done this. I mean, I'm obviously very concerned about setting any kind of a precedent.
I
So-
share that concern. And I'll also point out to the commission, the way our rules and regulations are written, let me just pull it up and I'll just read from our rules and regulations. I don't think that this necessarily stymies or hinders the commission's deliberations or authority to charge INI abatement fees, especially INI abatement fees that are current. But the part of the policy, which is promulgated into our regulations, reads as this: any property that increases its development over its existing status, resulting in increased effluent discharge to the system, and when such discharge is over and above the existing discharge, the property will be subject to all or part of the following requirements, which are inclusive of flow analysis, improvement of the downstream system if the flow analysis identifies that there's overburden of the system, and INI abatement fees. I think the challenging language there is the property will be subject to all or part of these requirements. It indicates that, but this is in our regulations. I think this is flexible language that the commission can definitely interpret under its authority that's provided under the Connecticut General Statutes. And so under the Connecticut General Statutes, Section 7-255, it does allow the authority to impart fair and reasonable charges based on certain conditions. related to discharge characteristics.
So the
for a
200
connection.
the 200 something thousand, that's what the fee is based on. There's
Today's
current flow
policy.
from 980 High Street, correct? This
No,
is the-
no,
No,
because there is no
this is
current flow.
based on the
Nothing's
number
there.
of.
Okay.
There's just the
number
old,
of
one old
bedrooms.
building. This is
Okay.
on your, how you calculate it is you look at the number of bedrooms, and you have an assumption, I'll call it an assumption, is what the flow is going to be. So that's when we plugged it in back in 19, we got the 103,000. But because your fees have changed, the flow is still
Understood,
projected
yeah.
to be the same. So that's how, we don't actually
'Cause I thought for
Right,
some,
check our flow.
I thought for some it was a delta, like if they were on some properties. Haven't we done that recently? And then, what was the one also that we did work with them on? I can't remember if we waived fees or something like that, but
Yeah, there was that building on,
what was the,
it was a HUD house or.
yeah, exactly. I just want
Yeah,
to,
and
whatever we did there, I mean, that's my only thought
we
here.
worked with Mark Barnhart.
Right.
He came and presented and said,
That was the pump. That was the pump station.
no, this was
No.
a.
The
this was a-
operation pump station?
It was
Before that?
It was the Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity.
Oh.
That was it.
Okay.
I just forget what we did and how we did it, but that's the only thing I
We
could
have,
think
I
that
think
would.
we have leeway there, and I think it's up for discussion, but
Sure, yeah.
I think we really gotta wait to
The
see.
leeway- So it's a single commercial or residential unit replacing like with like, but
Okay, but a slight
slightly,
increase. Yeah.
slightly different flows than we've applied to that methodology.
Okay.
There's also been a circumstance in the past where the line you're feeding into, because it jumps over 80%, we've asked the developer to replace that section of the line.
Right, exactly.
Go from 8 to 12 inch on their own expense, which they agreed to. And so if you have a short section there that's subject to possibly being replaced, that may be another solution. But
Absolutely.
that cost right there
Yeah,
would
exactly.
go into the budget, you know,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, we never say no. We
Right.
just say not unless we
You have
increase pipe capacity.
120 feet of 12-inch pipe you got to put in or something, you know.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably speaking out of turn, but you know, every dollar counts on this project, right?
Understood.
That's a dilemma we have with the project because of the taxes and the federal benefits, state money and town money. There's no money.
Right.
It's such a tight budget for us to build this, for the authority to build something, to get the units we need to get in there to help the folks.
Maybe that becomes a discussion of the abatement.
That's why we're a little bit
Yeah,
different.
The extra 100,000 and change could be put towards an improvement of the infrastructure.
That's true.
And the town then still benefits. You still get your permit, then you're not over 80% for that section. But
But we can't set a precedent, we still need the flow data. That's
Come in.
kind of where it is.
That said, though, I mean, if we were to upsize, if I would be comfortable with like a 20%, I wouldn't need 7 updated data. But when it's 79, I definitely need the updated flow data. But if it's 79 of an 8-inch, what is that of a 10-inch? It's probably like, yeah, or less. So
If I was good at math, I'd tell you that, but that's,
so that's
can't do that in my head, not a chance.
That's not up here.
Ask an engineer.
Don't ask me on the spot.
But so,
Between 10 and 90, I'll go there.
I guess that would be one conditional approval I would entertain, would be upsizing the pipe. And then in exchange for the,
I don't think we could do anything until
you see
we
the,
see what it is. I think and I don't want to push it, but I don't want to set precedent that.
so when are the meters going in?
Friday.
They're going in Friday, okay.
30 days.
In wet season, so you're not gonna need,
Reliable data.
well, I mean,
You might get,
You got a
might
rain
get
event.
it.
you need 2 1-inch storms or
Rain
something like
events.
that, which are gonna be
Half inch, yeah.
half inch, sorry, yeah, half inch.
You might
Yeah,
get them
it's the
pretty
right
quick.
time of year.
Yeah, you might be able to get it pretty quick, this week.
And then you call for a special meeting to speed this up
Right,
with updated flow data and the discussion of how far is that narrow pipe section?
Right.
And what's the ramification
All the
of,
scale on this tiny drawing.
Might not even need that if you get updated flow data and
Right.
at 79%, you are right on the
it's
limit.
pretty close, yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question? You mentioned that the project is funded with money from multiple sources, including the town.
Right,
The
and the town. Plus the
utility is also funded from multiple sources, including the town. So is there a self-dealing kind of, I mean, if this commission were to approve a $100,000 concession to you, we're taking money presumably from the town's taxpayers, which is also your source of funding. I would
In our
want,
case, we're taking it from the sewer payers and giving it to the town.
but the town is also contributing directly,
To them.
but also to the utility budget, right?
I mean, I guess in some
Yeah.
cases, we're largely self-funded.
Largely, okay. But an incremental 100,000,
Understood, yeah.
I mean, I think we would want the town CFO to, because of the
they'd have to
potential
weigh
for
in on
self-dealing, I'd want,
He is available. He is virtually present this
Housing
evening.
trust fund dollars. Housing
Terrific.
trust fund dollars.
Has
Doesn't
Mark
come
been
from the
involved in this
taxpayer.
at all though too? Because I
Mark
mean,
Barnhart has
Mark-
been
well,
a
that's what-
prime.
big
Building
piece of
permits.
the,
Yeah.
the Habitat for
He-
Humanity one.
He and I have met multiple times, and we also recently met with this applicant together.
So where the money came from, the town side of the money, it's not directly out of the budget as a line item. You might remember you have a housing trust fund created in Fairfield where developers have to make donations into it. So that's money the town holds for basically purposes just like this, to try to do the affordable housing it needs. And that's why the town took a lot of money from that account and is putting it towards this project of the Housing Authority. So it's not like it's coming out of,
Right.
I don't know, Public Works or Engineering's budget or something, or
Okay.
anyone's budget. But it's money the town does hold, but as trustee for projects. And there is those state money, though, coming in as well. We have state bond financing as well. And then, of course, the tax credit side of it.
So we need a motion.
We do need a
to
motion, 'cause it's
push
an
this-
act, but-
Push this out, and then the motion would include the information on the
Just need the
flow
flow
monitoring.
monitoring. Well, I guess during this couple weeks break, let's try to iron out the details of whatever we're doing on the fee, the
town
abatement.
CFO and maybe the town attorney.
Yeah.
Make a motion on 980 High Street to hold off until we get additional flow monitoring from the applicant to make a decision.
The new meeting could be set up at the same time. You don't need that.
We'll just wait until we get additional flow monitoring and we can set up.
Give it a second.
second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right. So as soon as we get the requisite flow data, then, I mean, if it happens before our March meeting, we could hold a special meeting.
We'll coordinate with staff, though. Thank you. We appreciate that, so we can keep this
Right.
Agreed.
moving towards,
So now we have to hope for rain?
I don't think.
Better than snow.
We hope for it. I think it's coming.
We don't have to watch.
last month.
Oh, I know. Nothing.
We had zero.
Snow melt won't.
Yeah, can we count snow melt?
It's not an event.
Trying to get like a,
Yeah, I don't think it
you probably get a half inch.
Understand the rules. Half-inch rain.
Right.
It doesn't say an extra half inch of water, just no matter where it came from. It has to be a rain event.
Has to be rain.
Rain events are directly measurable. Snow melt is very hard to measure.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And Michelle, thank you very much. You did a lot of work in a very short period of time, so appreciate it.
second.
All right, item number 3 of old business, to hear, consider, and act on a request to modify an approval of a sewer connection request 430, 452 Stilson Road. Previously heard, considered, and approved on October 16th of 2024. Someone on the line?
Ian, are you?
Yep, can you all hear me?
Yep.
We got you.
Hi, my name is Ian Eller. I am an engineer with J. Edwards and Associates. So we developed the sewer capacity for this. There was a previous production that included row houses, and that was changed based upon some feedback. And so what we are doing now is an apartment building. Ultimately, what we have is we have a total of 66 units with 102 bedrooms. That 102 bedrooms results in a flow of 11,948 gallons per day. Ultimately, we used the previous flow calculations that we had done for the project before. Ultimately, what we come down to is that we're at 40.8% in the pipe capacity that is available to us, which is well under the 80% that is required. I can answer other questions with that, but and if you want me to, I can share the site plans and things. But ultimately, what we have here is we have a design that is well within the requirements based upon the number of units that we have. Not sure how much detail you guys want, given that this has been back and forth in this situation.
Question for you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's not related to flows because I understand how that works. This right next to Black Rock Turnpike by the little pub, right? And posters.
Sure.
A lot of the neighbors have asked me, where are the exits going to be to get onto Black Rock Turnpike, and because there's not a lot of room between the little pub and the 2 or 3 houses that are there. So going to go somewhere in the back.
Oh, well, so just to be clear, I believe that we have both P&Z and health approval regarding this. So
Yeah, it's not relevant to our discussion today.
Okay, that's fine.
Did I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Did our engineer look at this?
A memorandum from Wright Pierce has been included in tonight's agenda.
Thank you.
And they concur?
There's concurrence.
if it's relevant, by the way, we did move to a purely gravity system, which is helpful and easier to deal with from the previous design. I'm not sure how much you guys want to bother with comparing those two, but we have moved to gravity as opposed to a pump system here.
Mm-hmm.
So are you just requesting an extension of the previously approved, but before the 2-year window? Or why? I guess I'm just confused why you're here. Oh, it's modifying. Okay, I got it. Never mind. Sorry. I'm caught up now.
Has the applicant paid any I&I or anything as of this moment?
I think Steve Shapiro can answer that question. I believe he's on. As an engineer, I don't know that for sure, but I think Steve's got that answer.
The answer is no, not yet.
So would this be a new application or a modification?
It's still within the 2-year approval timeframe, so it's a modification of existing. As it was approved just in October 2024. It will expire in October 2026.
What was the
This was
previous
reset
approval gallons per day based on? What was the previous approval gallons per day? Do we have that? I'm just trying to.
I don't know if I have that directly in front of me. What I was given was that
No? Okay, don't worry
had
about
to
it.
been approved, and we
No, don't worry about it.
previous.
Yeah, I
You don't want it in the motion?
I don't think that matters. I mean, this is going to be a new 2-year window.
No, it's not.
Oh, so they only have until.
Modification
If
that
they're
still expires.
modification, if it's modifying, it's not.
October 26th, it still
Correct.
expires.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Is that a problem?
If the approval expires in October 2026, is that problematic?
Steve, I think that's a question for you.
No, I think Attorney Russo handled that separately. I'm not concerned about that. If it's going to be an issue, we can always come back. But
Well, rather you not come back, because if you come back, we have the right to, we do have the right for more flow monitoring. I'm sure it's fine, but
There's always
is
a
it,
possibility with any of our approvals,
but if
right?
it's a new approval now, you're all set.
The reason why we're holding it to October of 26 is because we're basing this on October 2024.
That's
flow
correct.
data. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's correct.
So we're not going to extend past 2026 at this time.
Yeah, because they haven't up.
That's when 2026,
That makes sense.
they'll have to update their capacity analysis.
So the approval between now and October, and that's it.
I guess the weird thing with this is just that my only issues, and again, I'm always just thinking of precedent setting, is, I mean, like if this were closer to the 80%, I don't know that I would accept a modification without seeing updated flow data, even though we're in the 2-year window, because we approved the less flow. In this case, I'm not worried about it, but I'm also
But I think
I'm
we
just
always
thinking
have
precedent
We
wise.
always, I don't think you're setting a precedent. I think it's up to the commission to ask.
To request flow data.
Correct.
If we wanted to.
Yeah, because if you're doubling your amount of flow, I
Right.
think we have every right to ask, hey,
New data.
we need new data.
Right.
We can't, or go back to your existing approval. We'll deny it. We'll deny it. I think we have that ability.
We might want to just refresh ourselves on our regulations. So we did pass new regulations last May that speaks somewhat to this, the approval validity period. And so we say all approvals granted by the WPCA for connection permits shall be valid for a period of 2 years from the date of approval. Applicants are required to obtain their connection permit within the 2-year timeframe. If an applicant has not obtained their connection permit within 2 years of the original approval, the approval shall be deemed expired. Applicants with expired approvals must seek subsequent 2-year extension through the same application and approval process as the initial application. All extensions shall be subject to the same flow monitoring requirements and criteria that were applied during the initial application and approval process. Okay, so that speaks to the validity period.
Right.
We have another section that speaks specifically to capacity threshold requirements, and that states, proposed connections to the sewer that would result in any section of the downstream sewer exceeding 80% of its design capacity shall be rejected. Applicants proposing connections that exceed the 80% capacity threshold shall have the option to replace or upsize the affected sections of the pipeline to meet the required criteria. Okay, so neither one of those are limiting
Right,
in any
exactly.
way, like Chris was just stating.
And plus, this here is at the top of the line. You know, the Black Rock Turnpike goes the other way, it looks. So this is the start of our line here.
Understood.
So,
I mean,
so there's no other
concerns about
there's
this.
no other sewage coming downstream. And I think either way, we have the jurisdiction. If they're going to go above any of their gallons per day, that's why we put it in our approval. They have to come back to us.
Yeah, I guess my real question here is, I mean, given that there's no capacity issues here, I mean, obviously, if Steve is saying that he doesn't think it's an issue anyway, so maybe this is a moot point, but like, if we're approving this, even though it's based on 1.5 old data, why wouldn't we have a 2-year window on the revised versus a 6-month window? I just wouldn't want him to come back I mean, if he comes back in October of this year.
But I'd rather not.
Extension.
But then that's going to set a precedence, because I'd rather just modify the existing than have them come back. If you give them a new 2-year without any flow data, that's setting a precedent. I think that's going to be an issue.
Okay, that's fair. Motion?
You are the motion man.
How did I get this job?
You're good.
Skills and experience.
Okay, can I put a motion out to modify an existing approval dated October 16th, 2024 for 430 and 452 Stilson Road to allow the proposed comprising of 36 2-bedroom units, 30 1-bedroom units, for a total of 11,948 gallons per day to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. The approval will be valid for 2 years from the date of the original approval, which is October 16th, 2024. After the 2 years, the applicant must reapply for extended approval. And if an extension of time is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated sewer capacity analysis. The applicant will be required to pay the I&I fees in effect at the time the permits are issued, and the fixed I&I will be waived for the project if the permits are issued within the initial 2-year approval.
Second.
Seconded.
Comments? All in favor? Unanimous. Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Well said.
You're getting better.
Yeah, that was a good one.
No, really, he is.
I had to think about that one.
That was good.
Thank you. I'll take that compliment.
You do it on the fly, which is very good.
Compliment.
Joe will be very.
I stay up all night the night before. Think about it. It's not on the
That was
fly.
impressive.
All right, moving along. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
New business, to hear, consider, and act on a draft proposed fiscal year 27 WPCA budget.
All right, so our proposed fiscal year 27 budget will be heard by the Board of Selectmen next Wednesday, February 25th. And for that reason, the proposed budget is being presented to the board this evening. You all have a copy that was sent out this morning of the budget that will be presented to the Board of Selectmen next week. I apologize for the multiple revisions. There were changes that were made by the Finance Department to certain administrative accounts under the expense budget later in the day yesterday. So that was the reason for the modification and resend, but I'll review those specific accounts as we move through here. I'll start with revenue. So our revenue projection for fiscal year 27 is at $12,547,269. This is up by 5.1% from the fiscal year 26 projection. The 5+% is primarily attributable to an increase in permit fees collection that we're projecting. So an increase in fees, the actual fees for our permits from $100 to something other than $100 per permit. Increase in oversight of our permit program by the addition of a supervisory position. An increase in enforcement of compliance within that program. We do not currently have an enforcement program in the sewer department. We are in need of one to fully execute our authorities under WPCA's rules and regulations. We have also experienced an increase in the use of the WPCF by septic haulers over the past year. There's an expectation that that will be a sustained increase in fiscal year 27. We're expecting approximately a 10% increase in billing collections in fiscal year 27. And that's due to a combination of at least a 7% increase in rates. And that's something that we know we will be seeing from last year's cost of service study. In addition to an extra 3% attributable to both consumption and new accounts. We're expecting to see an increase in surplus sales and utility incentives. The utility incentives will likely remain similar as previous years. Surplus sales can likely increase due to improvements and changes that are being made at the facility. We will likely have some equipment that we are phasing out, and we will auction that equipment off, just probably as scrap metal. We have also added a new account to our budget, thanks to the Department of Public Works, and I'm sorry I failed to introduce Frank Batista as our newest board member. So thank you for joining us, Frank. We very much appreciate you. As a,
Would have done that
as a
earlier. if
voting
I
member
wasn't
of, as a
right
voting
on the
member of the board. But Frank has transitioned the permit account for street opening permits to WPCA. WPCA Sewer Department staff has historically been doing all the work in the application processing, permit issuance, inspections, and complaint investigation and follow-up with that program. When I'm moving into the I&I, we're not expecting an increase. Noting that certain revenue accounts, we're actually expecting potentially a decrease in fiscal year 27. You see a slight decrease in I&I because we're basing that projection off of previous year's actuals, and this is consistent with our cost of service study. I think it's really challenging for us to predict the I&I fees that will be coming in the door for the more significant developments. As we heard this evening, something that was approved back in 2019 was held up due to an appeals process. We've recently been approached by other former applicants who had received our approvals 5+ years ago who haven't been able to act on those approvals because they've been in litigation. Right. So again, very challenging for us to predict. FOG, we are expecting basically status quo to what we've seen as our actuals. The number you'll see in the projected budget looks like it is a decrease from what our fiscal year 26 projection was, but I really think we are overarching in 2026. That was based on our actual universe of regulated entities, which is Class 3 and Class 4 food service establishments up until October of this past year. Does that mean that everyone's going to pay their $100 permit fee? Not at all. When you look at this budget report, you'll see what we've actually collected, and that's been a very heavy lift for our permitting staff and our inspectors in the sewer department to actually get that amount of money in. We are expecting to increase that permitted universe in fiscal year 27 due to changes in the state's FOG general permit, which now is inclusive of Class 2 food service establishments. So this is conservative what we're seeing in the 27 budget, but again, going off of past actuals, I think we're safer to be conservative when it comes to collection on FOG, given the food service industry versus being overarching like we were in 2026. Past due billing collections, so this is inclusive of interest being accrued potentially on past due bills for sewer use. You will not see a significant increase. You'll actually see decrease over what was projected in 2026. This is actually a realignment. So again, this is an area where we were overzealous in projecting for fiscal year 26. This is something that our tax collector and myself have considered in looking into the rate of collections at this point in the year. And when we look at our typical rate of collections versus what we've actually collected as of December of 2025, we're below what our projection is for fiscal year 26. And it actually is more in line with what we're projecting for 2027. So this is more, what you see, the decrease is actually a realignment of where we actually are likely to be. Moving into the expense accounts, our expense projection is at $12,934,829. This is up by 6.1% from the fiscal year 26 projection. This increase is primarily attributed to an increase of routine expenditures for both services and administrative costs. So this is payroll, health insurance, liabilities related to such. Routine expenditures for operational needs that we consider administrative, including but not limited to things like cleaning services, uniforms for our staff. This is also an increase due to increased compliance requirements by State of Connecticut DEP. So there's been multiple general permits that impact our operations that have been reissued with new requirements just recently, so late in calendar year 2025. So there's 2 pretreatment permits that impact our facility. We'll need to put additional resources into managing our pretreaters, our pretreatment program, which is really not very developed at this point in time. We also have increased compliance requirements due to the state's new industrial stormwater general permit. And we're in the process of registering for that general permit, but we will have additional compliance requirements associated with that permit. We're also in the process of renewing our state-issued NPDES permit for the control of the quality of our discharge. That permitting renewal process, we're working through a consulting firm to navigate because it is becoming more complex. The state has identified that by the end of this calendar year, they will have at least public notice, a general permit for the control of PFAS in WPCFs statewide. So we'll have that additional permit to comply with as well. And potentially entering into solid waste permitting realm if we'd like to manage our biosolids in any other way besides direct disposal. We're expecting, related to this sludge disposal, we're still seeing when it comes to $1 million deficit, which we will be seeking to take out of fund balance to balance our budget because of the sludge disposal. That is running upwards of $1 million per year cost for us.
Excuse me, just to clarify, is that the difference between what the revenue from drying or the, not revenue?
Composting.
We received very little revenue from composting, so we received approximately $15,000 a year.
So it's,
But we have a cost, which in December was about $90,000 for sludge removal.
this is where we used to have a certain number of trucks, and now we have 2 or 3 times as many trucks, right?
Yeah, we were bio drying, which we decreased it, and then they told us to stop, so now we're escalating back up again.
And is there any outlook for maybe being able to restart the drying process?
That's what we'd like to do, and that's what we'll have additional costs associated with that, primarily when it comes to applying for and supporting our compliance under any type of solid waste facility authorization through the state of Connecticut.
Okay, but the budget assumes that we're just gonna haul it all and we're not gonna dry anything.
The budget assumes that we're going to be hauling it all until we are able to get permit authorization. And it's inclusive of the costs for the obtaining permit authorization.
Either way, we have to go into the fund balance to balance the budget
Correct.
because of that.
Correct. So you'll see that we have authorized appropriations.
Tune of about
And then we also have, about $600,000 plus. And then we also have a budget that is not currently balanced by about $367,000. And those combined equal about $1 million.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Again, we have continually aging infrastructure, 20 to 70 plus years old, depending on what part of our infrastructure you're talking about. So when it comes to actual buildings at our facility, like our Headworks building, which is part of our Phase 1 plant improvements, that's as old as our plant, so 1950s era. And then equipment that was replaced during our last plant upgrade is now over 20 years old because their upgrade was circa 1999 to 2002.
Just a quick question, and sorry to go back and interrupt.
Sure.
you.
No, questions at any time, please.
Kind of thinking about this there, so yeah, we don't have a balanced budget this year, and it's mostly because of the sludge drying, but if we can't figure this out, we're gonna have to figure something out on our end to make a balanced budget. because we can't keep going
We have to raise
into,
revenue for
we
next
can't
year.
keep
So-
going into the $1 million. if our
Right, and so
fund balance
we looked at what that can be when we evaluated our long-term financial plan, our financial model late last year, and that we will be taking a dip as we continue to take monies out of our fund balance when and that's inclusive of us paying our share of capital projects. And then as our part of it is our capital project schedule. And so as that begins to lighten up, assuming we're being conservative and we're still maintaining a cost for sludge disposal, is what it is, we will see recovery of our fund balance. That's what the financial model is predicting right now. Are there other things we could do? Because we really want to be careful when it comes to our rates. And we are continuing internally within town. I am moving forward with Dave's office, tax collector's office, and talking with our billing service, QDS. We had a conversation last month with that service about pursuing an alternate rate framework, as was presented by Ruff Tellis as part of the cost of service study. There is a possibility there, and that could assist us in bumping up our rates for certain sectors of our customers while maintaining a more even rate for our residential, our typical residential customers.
In the state, and our legislators, we can't try to get something kind of reimbursed from the state somehow, since it's not really, it's a regulation that they put through and it's not.
They've been trying.
I know, and I know they've been trying, because I've
They've
talked to
really
a
been
couple of them on
championing.
this,
Yeah,
but
they've
it's
really
like.
been championing for us, and I think we're very fortunate to have received the $200,000 during last year's legislative session to be received in fiscal year '27 to at least mostly pay for a PFAS source study. I think we're very fortunate. That's actually going to be, that PFAS source study is actually going to be a requirement of that new state general permit to control PFAS and identify PFAS sources at WPCFs. That's a requirement of that study. And the state came out and said during a recent workshop with WPCFs that they know it's going to be about $150,000 to $250,000 investment for WPCFs. And they're sensitive to that, and they're going to work with EPA to seek some type of funding availabilities, but we're well positioned for that early on,
But it's like, we're probably gonna be eating this for the next 3 years.
at least.
I was, kind of thinking
Yeah.
long-term is
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and again, and we also have a sludge management study that's on our capital plan for fiscal year '28. So the strategy right now is PFAS source study. We'll see how successful that is and what the data outcome is. And then we'll be moving forward to the sludge management study to help us determine what are the alternatives for us managing our solids? What are the if it's disposal, what are the disposal outlets that are out there? How could we reduce the total amount that we're disposing? Is it bio-drying? Is it some type of other technology that's out there? So, and also, there's so many industries marketing, not to get off the budget discussion, but there's so many industries marketing their PFAS treatment technologies. And I think it's really in its infancy still. And John and I have attended many seminars on that topic. And no one really has, no one's really gone beyond really bench scale at large scale wastewater treatment facilities.
So it seems like the next 3-4 years, we're gonna have to we're including that cost in our budget and
We are.
figuring out a way to
Yeah, and it's going to be.
somewhat balance it because of this, or?
Yeah, and so we work, so John and I work internally for identifying where in operations can we cut costs. And so, we have identified several areas where, we do so. And so landscaping and maintenance, outdoor maintenance of our facility, we perform all of that in-house. We're not even gonna pay other town departments like Frank's department. We're not gonna pay other departments to do that for us primarily. We're going to do that ourselves. When it comes to our engineering design services, we're actually, with our Mill River Force Main project, we're actually taking some of that on ourselves in-house to save us money on that front. So, we're doing what we can. We install equipment where we have the in-house expertise in resources amongst our team of operators to install that equipment ourselves rather than pay a contractor to install and pay that increased fee. So we're doing what we can.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100% because we're going to be carrying that $1 million for the next
3 years-ish.
Yeah.
at least few years.
So, Michelle, as you pointed out, as Chris mentioned, this makes the rate structure all the more important, right? So the conversation that we had about being able to move to more of a market model where we're not just flat with everyone is really
Like peanut
important.
butter across the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because these things could all get worse, right?
Yeah, well, if we do the PFAS study there, then maybe we could identify the issues with the PFAS and maybe, you know, the more of the commercial payers that are creating some of this are gonna have to pay a little more
That's a
because
great
of,
point.
because of these
It's a
things that we
great
have.
point. It's a utility, right? Where the cost comes from is where the cost should, as best we can, be allocated.
And there are other towns who are moving towards this tiered fixed plus volumetric rate structure. And so Colchester is doing this. I'm trying to think of my list. There's other towns that are doing this. Ellington is actually pursuing this currently. I think they're in their infancy, just like we are, just starting out evaluating this type of framework. But there's definitely an interest in
And
changing
there's,
this.
there's a lot of vendors out there that will be able to do that billing for us. This is a
There
pretty
is.
standard.
There are other vendors. We're already in the QDS system. QDS took a look at what we're asking for and said, hey, we're doing it for these other towns. Bethel is another one who's on the list and within Fairfield County. We're doing this already for other towns. We already have this data from Aquarian. You're in our system already, so it's a lot less heavy a lift for us to work with you and modify the existing programming. So from them, it's a green light. We can move forward. Just us internally, there is going to be quite a bit of education, outreach, and also to the public as well. So
2 following questions.
Yeah.
What's the goal of the PFAS source study?
that's a great question. I've been asking myself.
Don't
that, too.
understand.
Yeah, because what is
Trying to
so I'm
achieve
trying to project. What are we going to find? For us, I think it could be helpful in identifying industrial users because we've never performed an industrial user survey. And we have 2 new state general permits. They're reissuances of other previous versions of these pretreatment general permits that are requiring us to be more active when it comes to providing outreach, education to our industrial users, receiving notifications from our industrial users. Our state NIPD's permit application, the state's NIPD's permit application has actually changed since the last time that we renewed our permit and has a complete section all about us describing our pretreatment program and do we know who our industrial users are. We're very challenged to do that because we haven't previously done this legwork. So to me, the real value
It's just
lies
that.
in an
Identifying.
pseudo-industrial user
Sure,
survey,
yeah.
the PFAS survey. It will be interesting, but I think residential as the primary source
Yeah,
is a likely outcome.
Yeah,
That's
very
just
likely.
my own opinion from what I know.
And then my second question, can we do anything to expedite the sludge management? You said 2028. Can we do that this year? I mean, wishful thinking.
I wish, but we are so packed with
I know, there's a
capital
lot going on.
projects.
Yeah, I get it.
I
I just figure that's one of the
not only
higher
a lot
priorities
going
all
on
of a sudden,
with
so.
resources, internal resources to be able to manage all of
That's
the
fair.
projects for
Okay.
us. Yeah. But I don't disagree.
I was going to say, I mean, yeah, whatever we could do to, even if
Yeah.
it's 27 instead of 28, I just think.
Yeah, but I
the
do think
sooner
that
we
I do
something-
think the PFAS study will be beneficial.
Okay, good.
To the sludge
That makes me
management
feel a little
study.
better.
Yeah, I think it will help that. But then also, I'm just going to add on to the expense side of it. You know, we continue just like all other utilities, especially in the wastewater sector, recruitment challenges. So we have open positions that need to be filled because we have those open positions. You know, there's things that we aren't able to do. Operators of a higher level are performing responsibilities that could be assigned to entry level positions, and you know, we have needs to fill when it comes to people. Bond redemption costs, so we will be redeeming bonds associated with the financing for our capital projects. Those have increased, and then we will be seeking a new leadership position to fill what I'm proposing as a sewer department supervisor position. It is a position that is identified in the new town charter for our utility. I'm happy to take any additional questions in regards to
Any additional?
Thank you for that. That was a
Yeah,
very good
thank you.
summary.
Thank you.
That was very thorough. All right, item number 2 of new business, to hear, consider.
You are required to.
Oh, right, we
act.
are, sorry, yes, we are required to. So wait, what do? We just approve it?
It's a draft.
You could, I would say act on this draft because there could be changes as it moves forward through the other boards.
Okay. So, but we're either just approving or not approving?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Motion?
He loves it.
What is the, let's guess this for a second. I propose to approve the draft fiscal year 2027 WPCA budget.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Unanimous. Thank you. All right, now, item number 2 of new business, to hear, consider, and act on a modified sewer use charge policy.
Sorry. So this policy, modification, okay, this policy was in existence. It has been in existence for some time. It was called the Sewer Use Charge Policy and Procedures. And I believe it was at the November meeting of this board that our tax collector came in and gave a presentation per the board's request as to how his office considers requests to adjust sewer use bills from our customers. And our board had asked questions, concurred with the process that was presented, and asked that we develop a policy. And we already had an existing policy, so Dave and I said, let's look at that policy. This is a great opportunity for us to modify not only the existing section of the policy that talked about the adjustment of sewer use bills, but also to update the policy in full. And that's what we did. So that's what you're seeing here tonight. As backup to tonight's agenda, I included the redlined version of the existing policy and then the clean version of the proposed policy.
Is that on the town website or?
The backup should be.
The backup that was sent out.
Yeah, the backup was emailed.
Didn't get it.
It was the big
The
PDF.
big PDF, the 66 page
Okay.
one.
No, I didn't get it, unfortunately.
Okay, and it is on the website.
Here.
If you, so the backup is,
This is the red line, but mine printed.
the backup is emailed to all commission members the Friday before this meeting. If you don't receive it, let me know, because Matt did let me know he's not always receiving emails sent to
get
the
like half of every-
WPCA string.
No, there's
Yeah.
Serve email, and I don't know if it's a Gmail problem or what, but
Thank you.
So yeah, definitely let me know if you don't see the backup, if I close the business
Okay.
on Friday, and I will send it individually or
That
share
was
it.
part of, it was part of a very long
Yeah, it
PDF.
was like a
Yeah,
66,
exactly.
it was a.
69 pages.
That's
It's
probably.
on page 61.
I like the draft. I liked what you put together. The one comment I had, I liked everything that you had, but the one comment I had was on the last here, on their documentation that the people have to provide for refunds for sewer use accounts there, is that the documented history must, and I think we should put in there, demonstrate the water did not go into the sewerage system.
Okay.
Because we always seem to get into this, and I'm throwing it out there for discussion. Because we always get into this, and that if it goes into the sewer,
What if it's a leaking toilet?
but it still goes into our sewer system,
It's clean water.
but we're still processing it.
same we do I&I though.
What?
It
No,
acts
this
the
is why
same
I'm
we
throwing
do
this
I&I.
out.
Contribute side on it.
It's for the commission to deliberate on.
Yeah. No, and I'm not disagreeing, but it's still, we're still treating. It's still going through our pipes. And it's just, sometimes it gets me when we have a leaky toilet and there's no impetus to fix it. And it's like, okay, well, you've got a leaky toilet. We went through our system. I could see if you had a water break and it's blowing out in the yard. Yep, that didn't go into our system.
Irrigation system in the yard.
But if it went into our system, we're treating it.
It's a great point. So the next question would be, we have a sense of how much it costs to process a gallon of clean water versus a gallon of dirty water.
We're processing it the same way. And
Well, you're getting less sludge out of it.
It's gotta come in and it's gotta go out.
but it's going in the same pipes.
So it's electrical usage and space
Yeah,
and.
and I think there's a lot of considerations we could make when it comes to these types of deliberations. It's definitely a point. We could also look at what is what's the quality of this water, right? And so what's the load, the chemical load of this water on
But is
the
there,
influent to our facility? So what's the loading that's presented to our facility as a result of this additional water that we're receiving?
but is there any difference when you're looking at just general household sewerage? When you add a couple hundred, we're still treating it the same way that we're treating everything else. Is there any different? Is it, because one
Composition
person,
is different.
but if one person has
Composition of it is different. So
but
we
when
have
we're doing 2 million gallons a
non-sewerage
day.
versus basically clean water entering the system. I'm just putting it out
No,
there. I think you could
and I didn't
argue
really
either way.
know, in my mind, if it goes in the pipes, we're spending the same amount to treat 10 gallons of clean water as it is 10 gallons of dirty water?
No, we're not.
We're putting a lot of time and effort to remove I&I, which is what, clean water? Now we're saying it's okay for people to dump 200, 300, 2,000 gallons of clean water in, we don't care. Right? Is that your point?
I'm just saying is that.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
If it's going in the pipes, it's being treated, either way, it's going into our pipes. We should be someone should be paying for it.
I guess what you're referring to the sewer bill use adjustments,
Yeah.
section 6?
Section 6.
Which is at the tax collector's discretion, though, reviews and considers all requests.
Well, if you put this in there, it's not at his discretion.
No, I still see it.
Anything that goes into they have to provide documents for this. And if you have to provide documents that it didn't go into the sewage
It
system,
doesn't say he has to accept it, though, just because they provide the documentation.
this is up to where in this document you see it's up to the discretion of the tax.
The tax collector reviews and considers all requests. It doesn't say approves all requests.
Okay.
And that I like the language that's in here because, so even to your point, so.
This provides some flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll give us some flexibility.
So if my toilet breaks tomorrow and I find out at the end of this month that it was broken, because there's really very little way to know that it's broken until you get your water bill and all of a sudden your water bill's high.
But you hear it running.
If you, not necessarily. And especially if you're a landlord. But so if you correct it the next month or something, if I'm the tax collector and you show me that you've hired a plumber and done everything, I'm giving you that adjustment. If it breaks tomorrow and you don't fix it for like 12 months, maybe I'll give you a break for like 1 or 2 months, but I'm not giving you that full break. And so I like that there's flexibility, that it's not defined. It's basically at the tax collector's discretion.
And today he's already asking for plumber bills and things to show.
Right,
What's your good faith effort that you can demonstrate?
I don't want people coming in on a monthly basis asking us for it. I like the fact that the tax collector reviews and considers, and that if we want to add or adjust language to this, that's our role in this policy. I don't want to flat out, though, say we're not reviewing and considering sewer bill adjustments. That seems a little harsh. I know you do.
Just throwing it out.
You want people held accountable to make these things
Correct.
properly repaired and quickly.
Yeah,
Or
because
pay-
it seems
or pay
like
the piper.
a lot of the stuff we get, you're like, it's water usage. You're still using it, still going to our pipes. if we want to, it's like here we are, we're trying to conserve everything. We're trying to abate I&I. We're trying to do this. And then we're like, yeah, okay, you just went three months of water right down our tubes here. But we're charging all the developers that hundreds of thousands of dollars for I&I abatement. And we're not sitting here pushing our own ratepayers for I&I.
But you are giving the ability for the tax collector to exercise his judgment. Which is something
As long as he's got some exercise, but I didn't know if we wanted to put in there.
One resident,
For more-
1,000 gallons is less than like a quarter-inch storm in terms of total
Yeah.
I&I in our
But-
system. So I mean, like, it's not, I mean,
It's
it's
gotta
a
be
little
resolved.
over dramatic in terms of like one person's toilet is creating all this issue in our system.
Some of this stuff you see is nuts. And I'm just trying to get more of because we approve everything. We go in and we approve everything. So it's kind of like if you have something in there, then they look and they're like, oh. And we can say, no, we're not going to approve that. You put, that apartment complex and they had, 5,000.
So I think that you feel as though the commission has a history of approving every adjustment that comes. But the commission historically has only received those adjustments that have already been vetted through the
Right.
tax collector's office, who's exercising this type of review and discretion.
But
Great point.
since we're always approving it there, because that's just kind of, so, and it's,
Once they've gotten to
once
us.
they've gotten to us, we usually just approve it.
Which was the
And-
purpose of, hey, if the tax collector
You
is
know,
already like
Exactly.
vetting all of
Kinda
this,
like
let's just put it in a policy and the
And
tax
I
collector will do
agree.
it, and we'll get a report. So the
But-
utility will receive a report, the board will receive a report summarizing, and we'll review those. And if we feel as though, we need to revisit this isn't jiving with what our expectations
Right.
were, then we will revisit this policy, just for as an example.
I mean, as our resident anti-sewer bill use adjustment person, I think you should talk to David and find out what percent of these cases he actually approved.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you want me talking to David. Because either way, because I know that he kind of, he's like, well, they kind of approve it all anyway, so he's gonna approve all the same amount that we always approve. And I see.
Everything. Okay, so he doesn't approve
That's
all the requests
That's
that
my
come
expectation.
come to his office. A recommendation could be, we haven't had a policy like this yet. We haven't had this written out, actually, this process. So we could accept this and we could see how it works for us. And we'll receive the report outs to evaluate. And if we feel as though we have questions, let's revisit it. That's just one recommendation, just because we
I agree.
Fair enough.
haven't had this process formalized in this way to date.
Yeah, I think it's a good process.
And we don't even, so like, to get to your question, Chris, like, we don't even know how many of these requests actually come to the tax collector's office and how many are actually approved by that office or not.
Right.
Oh, so the one change, or the one question I had just on it, in the 6.0 sewer use bill adjustments here, you have nurseries and greenhouses shall be billed at the minimum usage rate usage rate during the winter months of December through March. Aren't they just billed at the minimum usage rates? Because aren't they still using water throughout in the winter months? I thought the greenhouses come to us and we readjust their bill to the minimum rate per bedroom or per what they use. Because if we do it this way, we're still using their water usage, and I thought some of them still use a lot of water throughout the year. That was just a clarification question on that.
I'll bring that to Dave, because this specifically came from his office.
Yeah, and there's only, I think, one or two people that come, and most of them use it in the summer, but I didn't know if we take, because either way, don't we just take their water bill usage from in the winter months anyway? So why would we even have this in here? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah, let me ask.
Let's get some clarification on that one sentence. I do remember at one point, some nurseries came before us for sewer use adjustments,
Yes.
and we were just like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
If you don't have a toilet, you shouldn't be paying anything.
Yeah, but we're only billing them, we're only collecting our data in the winter months anyway, so
Exactly.
it's self-defeating.
Yeah.
Can I, just ask Michelle, is there anything in there about a dollar threshold above which it should come back to the commission?
There
We're
isn't.
trying to get rid of that.
There isn't currently.
We have been following $1,000, I think, or greater. They have to come before us.
We left it up to his.
Then once David came and gave us his process, I, for one, at least feel like, why do we need to rubber stamp something that he's already doing a good enough job on?
Either way.
But again, I'm just one person.
He'll bring us, either way, I think his understanding is that in through the report, and then we could almost go back, and I think either way, if something comes up and he has a question on it, he comes to us anyways. He won't just.
So for below the materiality threshold, I completely agree with you guys. I'm just, my gut is telling me that we should increase the threshold rather than eliminate it.
In addition to, or instead of him doing whatever it is, some quarterly, biannually, annual reporting to us, you still want that oversight? I don't want it.
I think, so the kind of governance I'm familiar with is usually there's an empowerment at a level. And when it's above a certain level, you still do the work, you still make the recommendation, but it has to go one
Somebody else
level
has to
higher
authorize it.
to get a, objective second opinion. So I guess what I'm suggesting is, we don't need the applicant or the person who's requesting the reduction to come before us, but to the extent that there is a pending approval that's more than, say, $25,000, would that be worth our time to hear why that is and to provide either approval or disapproval?
Up to you guys.
I mean, I would, before doing something like that, I guess I would want to know how many we're even dealing with and like what's the largest amount that
Okay.
David's ever even approved before. Or,
I think it's a great point. I would set the threshold where it happens like once or twice a year, not every month.
yeah.
Or even every quarter, yeah.
A lot of them are just like.
I found the sewer
$5,000.
use adjustments in my 5 years on this board is the most boring, pointless part of being on this board.
Is there a
So
certain
I've been
thresh-
trying to get rid of that authority.
Is there a certain threshold that the board is thinking of? So when I asked Dave, I mean, what is the specific question that you'd like me to ask? Is
Well, if
it
you're
above 5,000?
If you have a $5,000, how many above
20,000?
5,000 would you have in a year?
Because there were several that were in a few thousands.
Yeah.
I mean,
1 to 2.
1 to
We've had a couple of
2,
one
but
to
I don't
twos.
think I think only once we've had like a $10,000 one that's.
So maybe I would propose the question, Michelle, is if we increase the threshold from 1,000 to 10,000, would that eliminate 97 to 100% of the requests?
What were you going to say, Frank?
No, I was gonna say, you might wanna ask a couple of thresholds, like how many above 5,000, how many above 2,000.
Right.
The range.
Cause that'll, I think, help set where we put that. question.
That's the spirit of it. I agree with that. But I would,
right now, there's no threshold. I mean, the way this is proposed. Right?
I'm wondering if, over the last 2 or 3 years, what are the number of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 and 5,000 plus? I mean, because I think
Less than 5,000,
Do
5,000.
you really want to go
plus.
into 1,000 or, just do 2,000 and above because you're.
I don't care about any of this, so it's whatever you guys want.
I don't know if you really want to get into the weeds on this one.
under the great leadership of our chairman,
Can we keep that in the minutes though? I really like that one.
So good with David, just he owns this process.
I would advocate for increasing the limit from 1,000 to 10,000 based on no additional knowledge. But if our tax collector has a different counter proposal, that makes more sense.
Well, how about this? How about we put,
What he's proposing now is there is no threshold.
Right.
Right? And so, what we feel as though, the board would benefit from seeing those that are above, I don't know what the threshold is, that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
determine.
Extreme outliers is what I'm after.
Okay, so we could ask, like Frank, you were suggesting, I think that
above
makes sense.
5,000 or is it 10,000?
5,000, let's ask, like, how many above 5,
yeah.
greater than or equal to 5,000, greater than or equal to 10,000,
Sounds
greater
good.
than or equal to
Yeah, we
20,000?
could.
Right.
I would hate to hear about the $50,000 approval that happened 6 months ago. That would not be a fun meeting.
The thing is, if he approved it, chances are we're agreeing with it anyway. But sure, I'm fine with it.
Chance
Everything anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, if the chairman is comfortable with that, that's fine.
I am one person in this board.
So I remember sitting through an hour of sewer adjustments.
For like $25 and $50 and stuff. One of my first meetings was like that, and I was like, "What did I get myself into?"
So I'll make a motion to postpone the acting on the modified sewer use charge policy until further details regarding the David.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. So we don't want to approve this and then modify it, though. Because right now we have none, or we do have one, but
That's a good question. We have this one.
We have the existing one.
That's status quo.
We have the existing one, so if
I like
adjustments.
the current changes better than the existing.
Adjustments do
but-
come, they are going to come.
Why are we gonna
to fruition.
redo it again? Why don't we just look at it and get it done next meeting?
Okay.
Yeah, chances are we're not gonna have any next meeting, so I think we'll get under the wire. If they come back with the.
Right, okay, that's, yeah, good point. All right.
Watch there be 15 next meeting.
Thank you guys for your effort so far. I think it's
thought
a
it was
great
really
policy.
good. I thought it was really good policy.
Yeah, he also dug in with legal on modifying some other language
Yes.
about waiving interest.
Right,
We
yeah.
need to align with state statutes.
Yes,
Right.
and it's all
Yeah,
aligned.
I like it as this.
I think that's great.
Sorry, wait, what did we just approve? So we're just gonna
New
do this
business
at the
number two.
next,
Look at the next meeting.
right,
Or
okay.
David,
Yeah, so we'll here consider an act on the sewer use charge policy in March.
actually,
Okay.
then we'll definitely do it by then. But you don't care anyways.
I wanted to approve tonight.
Yeah.
I'll live 1 month. Item number 5, operational status updates. WPCF superintendent to provide a report out of the following. Compliance.
Compliance, no issues as far as violations in any way, shape, or form. We have to submit an annual CIP report to the state by the 15th of February every year. Just documenting what we did as far as plant improvements, collection system improvements, and then what we're projecting to do for the year. We submitted that on the 12th of February, so 3 days prior. Facility-wise, I mentioned last month that the main bar screen, course bar screen was down. I can happily report it went back online today after some welding and some major electrical gremlins, but that's back online. I will just give a brief update on the phase 1, which Michelle will go over in the next, but we've had weekly meetings with our joint venture, AECom and Nickerson. Sat down with Kevin last week, got a lot of data out of the SCADA system, so,
The project manager.
yeah, so we're working, very happy with those two. As far as the collection system, there were no bypasses, there were no issues. We did finally get the PO for the Granite software, which will be implemented to our camera system in our truck, and hopefully will be up and running by the next month, and the guys are excited. That's all I got.
They do PACP inspections?
They've been trained in PACP inspections, and they get renewed every year or every whatever.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna give you, because I don't know what we're talking about, but I know they know
Right.
how to do it, and they've been trained in doing it.
And so but that data then is gonna go into the Granite software, that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
great for asset management.
Yes, it is.
100%.
Yeah, it's a big step forward for us.
Just as far as that goes too, we've been working with MetroCog, improving our GIS system. And we've got iPads, and our collection system crew worked with MetroCog and gave them ideas, and MetroCog worked them into it, and we've got a nice, good melding of information we get out in the field to get into the GIS. So the GIS is really starting to blossom.
That's
great.
We overlay the hydraulic.
That's gonna go right into the model.
We're really modernizing.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
really are, yeah.
Great.
So that means I want my binder back.
I'll drop it off. 6:30 tomorrow morning.
Right at the reservoir.
Any questions on operational status updates?
I'm only kidding. Sorry.
All right, thank you, John. Capital improvement project updates.
Okay, I'll just jump right into it.
Do it.
Fairfield Beach Pump Station, we received the 60% submittal, and we've reviewed it. We have a working meeting with Ty and Bond tomorrow to review the town's technical review comments on that package. Plant equipment improvements, I really don't have anything else to add on to John's update. It's been a positive progression so far through weekly meetings with the AECom Nickerson joint venture team. We will be starting the 30% design workshops and actually scoping out equipment and needs. I think it's March, is it March 4th or the 3rd? It's first week of March. We're starting those in-house workshops, and that team has already been out to the facility and performed the scoping assessment.
That was the like study portion to identify additional products or projects or?
It was the MEP of the specific focus areas that are included in phase 1.
Okay. Because wasn't there like one or two study elements for like electric and INC or something like that? Or am I misremembering?
No, there is something like that, but they brought all disciplines down there.
Right, okay.
And to see that each person is focused in on one thing.
Yeah.
They really got a lot of information. They saw the layout and how to do, what to do, where to do.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
very good.
Good.
Yeah, I think the only part from the scoping assessment that has not been completed at this point is the evaluation of the health of our digester covers.
Okay.
We need to determine internally based on some, an example we received from another municipality's WPCA of actual physical structural integrity inspection, and then what that would mean to us operationally, since we just had these 2 units offline within the past 3 to 4 years, and such a large undertaking that is.
Right.
Mill River Force Main, we are progressing with National Water Main Cleaning Company in performing the investigation work. And then after the investigation work, which is the CCTV, the feasibility of lining. So this is for the spare and the actual in-use force main itself. It was delayed somewhat just due to the snow cover we had. It delayed us being able to perform the GPR. The trunk line replacement project, the in-road work continues to be stalled. Primarily, the reason why is because of our inability to discharge groundwater dewatering wastewaters from the construction site due to a hang-up with a state general permit that we need. We did receive some feedback from DEEP in a phone conversation I had with the Water Permit Enforcement Division's director. We submitted, based on that meeting, we ended up submitting a registration under a different permitting mechanism. So we had submitted a registration under, the state had groundwater remediation and dewatering wastewater general permit. That permit has sunsetted. It's been replaced most recently with the SIU, Significant Industrial User General Permit, which is now inclusive of dewatering wastewaters. So that registration was submitted last Friday, and DEEP has been notified. That department as Division of Deep has been notified that we're looking for an expedited review. Thank you, Rob, for signing that letter to accompany the submittal of the registration. I did draft a letter
Please take it to
in Rat's absence. Rob did help me by reviewing and signing it. And it really mirrors the letter you signed
Right.
back in the late summer, Matt, on behalf of this board, requesting the urgency for the department's decision due to the nature of this project.
What is the contractor, does he have any stipulations on when he has to start?
The contractor, well, Frank, this is part of Frank's department.
Well, you're up now.
Project. The contractor is definitely
Itching.
playing their
Yes.
cards.
Yeah. Can we send those change orders to Deep?
Yeah, I can imagine.
They should be the
We've
ones.
had a lot of
filling those
conversations.
Change
I
orders.
could imagine some
Change orders, well,
conversations going
And
on.
one of it is how we handle
a
the
big,
dewatering
yeah,
tools.
Yeah.
a big part
Also
of
gonna be an
this is-
additional
Because
cost.
that wasn't in
big
the
part of this is
initial.
treatment. Yeah, a big
Yeah.
part of this is.
Now you're
treatment.
getting whacked with the change.
Yeah, a big part of it is there's the delay component of it and,
your change order.
and then
And
the
treatment.
treatment for PFAS.
Yeah.
and GAC. Yep, costs associated with that. Phase 5 I&I work continued. We have a scoping meeting on Monday internally to continue on with that capital project. So we had additional monies left over from the first part of Phase 5. Now we're going to embark on the second part of Phase 5. Internally, we need to more fully develop our scope of work before we could bring that to Wright Pierce and have a workshop with Wright Pierce. Wright Pierce is going to be our design engineer for that. They are under contract for that work.
Right.
Center Street Force Main, that has been on hold. Again, we have multiple capital projects actively being worked on in parallel, and we have limited resources within the town. We are also holding on that because we want to use the Mill River Force Main project to inform how we're going to address the force main for Center Street. It's looking likely that we may perform some of those design services in-house, as we have for Mill River. And we also need to address I&I in the Center Street Pump Station service area. I know we've discussed that before we get to actually tackling like sizing of pumps, for example. That's a big part of that. But we are moving forward with replacing existing pumps in kind, just to get us through, just because we know the pumps are limping along.
Yeah, we could still use them, reuse them.
Yes, the pumps that we're gonna install in Center Street, once we get the station redone, those pumps can be removed, taken to Mill River and used
Yeah.
in any spot.
Somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. That'll be good.
Okay, the flush report. I reported last month that it would be here by the end of this month. It's not the end of this month yet, so it might be here, but I'll report at the March meeting.
Sounds good.
And then just for our own edification, what the holdup has been with the flusher truck's arrival. If the vendor shared any specifics with us.
Not specifics, just that, oh yeah, you'll have it by the end of February, so.
Where's it coming from?
The place that they put it together is in Ohio. I know that the truck the truck itself has been delivered to Vacall. I just don't know where they are in the assembly
Right.
period. So, and I did print out the CIP report we sent to the state in case anybody wanted to see it. Didn't mention that before.
Any questions on capital improvement project updates? All right. We are moving on to item number 7, public comment and other. Is there anybody from the public who has any comments? All right. I've got nothing for other, so item number 8.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Well,
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Nice job.